Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nerd Ninja Horror Show. I am your Fright Master, Freddy Ruiz, here along with Ash Von Horror. And after a long, silent, deadly night of nothing, no horrors, no evils in the world, we are back to deliver to you everything that we love that is gory, bloody, and disgusting. Glad to be back and talking trash about me and everything that is myself, Ash.
I'm horrifically happy to be back. And since we have a lot of catching up to do, let's just get right to it. So, Freddy, what are we starting off with tonight?
Well, to start this whole thing off, we were away at Texas Frightmare Weekend, and we got to meet one of our idols, Lance Henriksen. And that Friday, I believe the 4th in the month, beginning in May, was his birthday. So we decided that we would take this time to say happy birthday, Lance Henriksen, the immortal bishop from Aliens, and we'd like to take a minute to talk about our favorite picks for horror films for Lance Henriksen. So for my pick, I chose the classic gem that barely anyone has heard of, but thanks to Scream Factory, we can now get on Blu-ray and DVD. And that movie is called The Horror Show. In The Horror Show, Detective Lucas McCarthy famously put away mass murderer Meat Cleaver Max. However, Max is still haunted by the horrors of everything he saw the night he brought Max in. So hoping to cope with everything that he had seen, he goes to the execution of Meat Cleaver Max. Only it takes not one, not two, but 3 tries in the electric chair to even do anything to him. As he is on fire, screaming in agony, he gets up, walks back to Lucas, and says he's going to take down everything that he loves. And it is one of the most epic horror moments ever. Straight up dude on fire, no CGI, just great practical K&B effects. So at that moment, he dies, supposedly, but he becomes something much more sinister that terrorizes the family of Lucas in The Horror Show. So Ash, what do you think of this film? It is one of my favorites personally.
It has Kane Hodder in it as a stuntman.
Well, you can't go wrong with Kane Hodder as a stuntman. There's a little tidbit I know that you were dying to talk about that movie.
Yes. I was watching an interview with Kane Hodder, and he's talking about the scene after the electric chair when he gets up and he's on fire, walking over to Lance's character. And Lance likes to tell the story because he talks about how Kane is pointing at him, staring at him, and everybody's like, well, that's part of acting. He's supposed to stare at you. He's like, yes, but he was on fire as he was staring at him. And he remembers that scene specifically because
those
of that.
Intense Kane Hodder eyes just staring back at you, which I've actually seen Kane Hodder in person. You got to meet him at Frightmare, actually, right?
I got his name tattooed on me.
Looking all epic. That dude is a scary man. I actually pissed him off on accident talking about Freddy versus Jason. Don't ever do that. That's the worst thing you can do. Now, with The Horror Show, it was originally its own thing, but is also produced by Sean S. Cunningham, who made the Friday the 13th series, as well as, if you guys know, the House series, which is a series of movies about basically a house that's haunted and there's demons coming out of it. It's basic haunted house movie, but with a lot of practical monsters and effects. Really weird looking stuff. So in order to get the movie out there, they actually called The Horror Show House 3, which that's actually how I found it, because I was way into the House franchise. House was written by Fred Decker, who gave us Night of the Creeps and the Monster Squad, 2 of the best movies of all time, in my opinion.
Awesome.
Of course. So I had to see this. Well, as the franchise goes, House 3 just goes way off into the left territory. The first 2, you know, they're kind of campy, they're fun. First one's got William Catt, the greatest American hero, if you ever seen that TV show. The second one's just pure 80s cheese with like really family-friendly effects. Then this movie, K&B Effects comes in, and there's severed heads, there's little kids being chopped. This one girl gets her head chopped off in the beginning. It is intense.
That's the way to go.
Exactly. You get Terry Alexander from Day of the Dead. He plays Lucas's partner, and that dude gets jacked up by Meat Cleaver Max. It is so insane. So I'm watching the House series, and I see this, and I'm like, what the hell happened? It got so bloody and intense. So much so that, in fact, they had to cut it down so hardcore to an R rating from an X rating. But that's the love and care of K&B Effects Group. And, of course, we have Brian James, who played Meat Cleaver Max Jenke. This was his favorite role he had ever done.
He's a creepy-looking guy.
He has that freaky laugh. It is so scary. It is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Now, a lot of people compare this, which came out at the same time, to Wes Craven's Shocker with Mitch Pileggi. I will say I love them both. Shocker is definitely a more intricate movie, of course, because it's Wes Craven. I actually got to meet Mitch Pileggi at Texas Frightmare, and we talked a little bit about Shocker. And we both kind of agreed that we talked about how in Shocker, when Mitch Pileggi's character is just kind of this dude on the streets killing people, it's a lot more intense and more of a crazy serial killer movie than when he gets his supernatural powers after going through the electric chair. Granted, I love the electric chair stuff.
Yeah.
It's cheesy, fun, 80s
The
horror.
effects are awesome.
Yeah, the effects are awesome in it. There's a lot of really cool supernatural rules they put in. It's kind of just like Freddy Krueger, which is, that's what Wes Craven wanted, was another franchise to, go off of. But it was a lot scarier when he was human. And like I said, Mitch Pileggi and I both discussed that. It was a far scarier film.
Well, it's more realistic when they're human versus when they're supernatural.
Exactly. Now, the thing is between Shocker and the horror show, when Meat Cleaver Max turns into a supernatural force, the scares don't go away. The horrors of the way he looks and everything. In fact, it gets more intense. One of my favorite scenes is Lucas McCarthy, who's played by Lance Henriksen. He and his family are sitting down to a dinner, and as they're eating this turkey, the turkey turns into Meat Cleaver Max, and it starts freaking out and talking to him. And he always had this really freaky giggle. He's like,
and the pregnant belly scene.
Oh my god,
that made me think of Freddy.
That was super intense. There's a scene where actually Meat Cleaver Max takes Lucas McCarthy's daughter and impregnates her, and it's this huge, bulbous, nasty gut. And you see his face coming out of it, like rubber style, kind of like...
It's similar to Nightmare on Elm Street when he's in the wall hovering over Nancy and you see him making all the movements in his face. That's what reminded me of exactly.
It's exactly like that. And it's just so disturbing. But this movie's one of the most intense films I've seen, and of that time period. And I just wasn't expecting it, going from House 1 and 2 and then House 3, which is this film. So it was definitely a creepy movie. The logic's also a little different from Shocker as well. Whereas in Shocker, Mitch Pileggi kind of makes a deal with the devil. It's more of a idea that evil can manifest itself through electricity in this movie. So through electricity, you can become this ethereal force of evil. And by electrocuting, I guess, Meat Cleaver Max again, you can come back to the world of the living, in a sense, to make, I guess, a corporeal form, maybe? This is really weird logic, I know. I'm using Buffy logic here, but that kind of is how he takes down Meat Cleaver Max in the end. So it's a really interesting thing, and it's, like I said, it's really similar to Shocker, but it's so tonally different. It's so insane. And like I said, KMB Effects Group went all out on it. There's a couple of scenes that were cut out. You know a couple of those scenes, don't you, Ash?
Yeah, the movie originally was supposed to have an X rating because some of the scenery in the movies, some scenes were deleted, which was the Bonnie's birthday scene where blood spills out of her birthday cake, the other scene with her dead boyfriend being torn in half, and scenes where Lucas pulls his chest open and then his heart is exposed. So they had to delete those scenes to avoid X rating and move down to an R rating.
And those scenes were so intense, dude. The Bonnie's birthday scene. Mm-hmm. Bonnie was Lance Henriksen's daughter in the movie. It was a bleeding birthday cake. And there was another scene where they had, I've seen bits and pieces of it. You can kind of find them on the internet, but they're really hard to find.
Down on the internet.
But there's another one where Bonnie's boyfriend gets torn in half. And it is so brutal. That's one of the things where I was like, I wish they kind of kept it in the movie.
Well, they like with movies like with the torn in half Hitcher, they showed
the
that.
Hitcher, yeah. I guess, I mean, that's the other thing too that always kind of weirded me out about that. It was Sean S. Cunningham, the guy who pioneered Friday the 13th and a lot of slashers like that. So I thought it was kind of weird they had to tone down from it. I thought they could maybe get away with it with the idea that maybe it's a supernatural thing, so it's less intense,
not as realistic.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know, but it's a really cool story, and you guys should definitely check it out. That's my pick for best Lance Henriksen movie.
So my pick is with the story of Ed Harley when he was a young boy. He witnessed a monstrous creature kill a man who was screaming for help outside of his home. Wondering why his parents weren't helping the man, they were fearing that the creature outside would attack them. Fast forward a couple years later, Ed has a boy of his own and a grocery store they run together off the beaten path in a farm community. One day, a bunch of city kids come riding through and accidentally kill his son, Billy, while they are out dirt biking. Enraged, Ed seeks out an old gypsy woman who knows the secrets of the creature Ed saw many years ago. With her help, Ed pledged his blood and the blood of his son to resurrect the creature and seek vengeance on the kids who wronged him. Beware the wrath of Pumpkinhead.
Okay, so obviously this is one of the most cult classic movies out there.
I love Pumpkinhead.
This, I think, other than Aliens, this is the movie that put Lance Henriksen on the map.
This is the movie I saw him in first before Aliens.
Really? Before
Yes.
Aliens?
I saw this movie before Aliens.
I saw around, I guess when I was younger, I was super hardcore into James Cameron. And so I hunted down the Aliens. You know, of course, we get him as Bishop. But there's a little known film called Piranha 2: The Spawning, sequel to Joe Dante's Piranha. It's actually James Cameron's first movie he ever directed, and it has Lance Henriksen in it. So me being the weirdo I am, I'm hunting down all these weird, obscure movies, first-time directors and stuff like that, of people who are now huge guys in Hollywood.
Well known now.
Yeah, and Lance keeps popping up in all these movies. So I always kind of knew him as this kind of either police detective or, you know, the straight and narrow guy. I mean, in Piranha 2, he's like the sheriff. And
Or
then,
in Scream 3.
Oh, yeah, or Scream 3. And in this one, he's a redneck.
A really dirty, down redneck. That town was just pitiful.
Oh, it was nasty. And
They're
all those kids were done up and everything.
dirty and doesn't look like they have showered in a year. Just out in the middle of nowhere.
This gives so much to Lance's performance, too.
Yes.
His ability to act.
Especially with the kid.
He's such a method actor, too, because a lot of stuff in the movie wasn't it his own stuff too, like the teeth, right?
They were fake dentures that apparently he made for himself.
Yeah, he had because Stan Winston, a couple of the people on the crew, I think Tom Woodruff Jr., who now they're all big guys in the leagues with KMB Effects Group. He had them make fake dentures for himself. A lot of the props Lance Henriksen actually brought from home or like other places that he found, like just thrift stores. So basically, what I'm saying to you cosplayers out there is, you can just buy stuff in stores and go make a movie. Because that's kind of what Lance Henriksen did.
A couple actors usually do that, especially with the low-budget films. They'll
Oh, yeah.
go out there and help out, give props to the prop company, help out with makeup, whatever they can do.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I love, Stan Winston's one of those guys. I mean, you got Terminator, you got the Alien stuff. He made the Alien Queen. He did the Predator. Every big monster in the 80s at some point had something to do with Stan Winston or a couple other guys. But Stan Winston had the big budget guys, basically. And so this was really cool to see Stan Winston bring what was basically a poem to life in this kind of dark, you know, grim, modern day grim fairy tale. And I remember originally I think it was called Vengeance the Demon, because Dino De Laurentiis, who did like Flash Gordon, he did Army of Darkness, all those really cheesy 80s movies that you really liked, but he didn't have that great of a production value, other than Army of Darkness, of course. And apparently his company went bankrupt, and the rights went to United Artists, and that's where it became Vengeance the Demon. So it's gone under some different titles, but I think over the years, because after Sci-Fi Channel picked it up, that's when it really got the Pumpkinhead
I'm glad they got with the Pumpkinhead. That's more easier to say.
Well, the only thing I will say that's not good about that is we get the Sci-Fi Channel sequels. Because there's like 3 or 4
Can't be worse
now.
than the Hellraiser sequels.
I don't know, dude. Have you
Which
seen?
Lance was in one of those.
Oh, that's right, Jesus.
The video game one.
Lance comes back for one of the Pumpkinhead movies, I think. I know there's Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings, like 2 or 3 others, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, what the hell is going on with these? It could have been a great thing where they kind of make it almost an anthology thing where each movie is like, Pumpkinhead comes back to do this. Pumpkinhead does grocery shopping and kills a bunch of old ladies. Just something crazy like that.
Pumpkinhead meets Ash.
I would have been down like, oh my God, you have no idea.
He's going to have a fanboy moment now.
Well, I think, okay, so the other thing I really liked about this movie is you have a really weird production crew. You have Mark Patrick Carducci, who made Neon Maniacs, which is one of the worst, trashiest, heavy metal, hair metal 80s horror movies. It's just glossy, glamorous. I kind of think Nicholas Winding Refn took parts of it and made Neon Demon, but the look only, and made it a better story. And then you also got Gary Girani, who made a Vampirella home video. And then the only thing I can think of that kind of brought it into a cohesive kind of dark horror narrative, you got Richard Weinman, who was this was one of his first movies. He was just a huge Mario Bava fan. And I think that kind of brought that like kind of dark Italian storytelling to it.
They just had a mixture of everybody in this.
Pretty much, man. It was so intense. But the one scene I heard that made Lance Henriksen do this the most was the scene. And you guys at home, I want you to tell me, what is your favorite scene from Pumpkinhead? This was the one that made Lance want to do the movie so bad. Was he read in the script where Billy, his son, who's dead, comes back to life in the car as he's driving home, and he goes, "Daddy, what did you do?" And I remember seeing that for the first time, and it kind of teared me up a little bit, honestly, because the kid's got the skewed glasses, he's got the blood in his face.
And he has all the blood on him, and he's more pale.
Yeah, and then Lance Henriksen almost like just wrecks the car, and he's like, "Oh my God, Billy!" And it's just so sad because that's a great moment because it's when Lance kind of discovers, I don't want to be the villain. I want to be better than this.
And he doesn't know if he actually like saw it or if he hallucinated it, because at this point,
yeah, everything's kind of going to hell. And that
with that old woman.
You know, the other thing I really like about it is the kids, I guess, because up until Pumpkinhead comes to get them, right when they're walking out the door, when Pumpkinhead's there to kill them all, they actually decide to turn themselves into the police. They decide we're gonna do the right thing.
All of them but one, and then he decides to.
Yeah, it's the one that hit the kid.
Yeah,
and that's why he puts the gun away. He lets them all out.
The douchebag.
Yeah, and he decides, all right, I'm gonna be a good guy now. So that was really cool.
Character development in like 5 seconds.
I know, right? So that's kind of when I was like, oh my God, this is intense. Anyways, what are some of your favorite scenes from Pumpkinhead? I've been like going on now.
Oh no, I
praise the hell out of this.
Of course, when they have, like, I like to call it the birth of Pumpkinhead, when he's coming to life, when it shows him.
Oh, yeah.
I like the effects that they did for it. And also all the death scenes, obviously.
C. Warcats has a really good one. His favorite scene is when Lance finally figures out he has to kill himself to kill Pumpkinhead.
See, that made me sad. You're talking about the kid part making you sad. That made me sad.
That was a really intense scene, though. Like,
and then the chick realizing, oh, I see what you're trying to do.
Yeah, he's like, shoot me. Thank you, that dude, Daniel. Hashtag creepy Freddy instead of all the other hashtags.
No, kill Freddy.
No. I'm not down with that. Okay, so we got C. Warcat says Pumpkinhead 3, he comes back. Pumpkinhead 4, the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. That needs to be a Robot Chicken segment.
I'm kind of surprised that hasn't been.
They have the Great Pumpkin segment on Robot Chicken, but they don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
I'd be kind of down for that.
Of course you would.
I'm just saying. So, being the way Hollywood is with the remake machine, I would love to see the horror show come back in some way, just some of those characters. I would not want to see it get remade. With Pumpkinhead, I feel it is only a matter of time.
I'm actually surprised it hasn't been announced yet, with all the announcements recently with remakes.
Like with the Exorcist Fox TV series that looks like crap. What do you think, what would you be okay with, like, passing as a Pumpkinhead remake?
They could reboot it, but I would rather them still stick to the origin story, maybe change up like the location or something, but keep the original character still keep Lance's character, still keep Ed's character, keep the little boy, maybe change up a few things, but don't change Pumpkinhead. Keep him as he is. Keep the practical effects there. Do not CGI him. That's what ruins it half the time.
I say Evil Dead it. Set in the universe technically, differences with the filmmaking and style and stuff like that. Maybe change up the look of Pumpkinhead just a few couple ways.
I mean, he could be updated, but
not updated. Just give the idea that every time he's summoned, it's a little different. Because if you look at Pumpkinhead, there's that scene.
Because he's supposed to be the people that killed themselves,
his
right?
His face has Lance's face on it.
So they should do it where it's Lance and then have him more made up to look like.
I think they should kind of do like an Alien to Aliens thing, where it's like, oh, okay, here's the Queen. So maybe show like not an origin of Pumpkinhead, but maybe show. Oh,
little bit of his origin?
No, but maybe more of the idea, like maybe in the pumpkin patch he has the souls, because each
kind of like how Freddy has the souls into his chest.
You know, so you got the faces of everybody, and that's how you bring back Lance in that sense. Because I think we could get a new crew, New crew kids, new place, setting. Someone wants revenge. They summon Pumpkinhead.
Bring Tom Savini to do makeup
Tom
effects.
Savini do makeup effects. Probably not going to happen. But Tom Woodruff Jr.,
Wishful thinking.
That would be cool because they worked on the original stuff. So something like that I think would be good. But, yeah, like I said, Evil Dead it.
That would work. I think horror fans would be rather okay with that, considering that usually when we get reboots and remakes, we're kind of...
Let's just hate this thing all the way home. Ugh. As always, boys and girls, it is time for our home video release. In the past couple weeks, we have had so many goodies, especially from Scream Factory. The one that I want to talk about the most, though, comes from Robert Zemeckis, director of Back to the Future, and that film is Death Becomes Her. In the film, Dr. Ernest Menville and his fiancée, Helen Sharp, attend Helen's childhood friend Madeline Aston's musical performance. There, Ernest falls in love with Madeline and leaves Helen, spiraling her into a life of hatred, psychosis, and self-loathing. Many years later, Madeline and Ernest are, of course, unhappily married because looks don't last forever. Helen returns, having lost a ton of weight and looking absurdly gorgeous. This, of course, drives Madeline insane, and she goes seeking the help of a crazed and mysterious woman who has a potion for immortal beauty. Woman. She's crazy as hell, though, as well. Once she takes it, she begins de-aging and looking beautiful again. However, Ernest and Helen plot to murder her, but they realize she won't die so easily. This is my first time seeing this movie, but Ash has seen this many times. I was about to point out
that this is the first time Freddy has ever seen Death Becomes Her, and I've seen this movie so many times I can almost quote it. I love this movie. I love Meryl Streep, though. I think she's adorable.
What does it have? What?
I just like her.
You just like her? That makes it okay.
Do you not like her?
I don't have a problem with Meryl Streep. No. I'm just like, is that all we're going to get from you? Like, I've seen this movie 1 billion times, so that's cool.
Well, if you've seen it, it's kind of like it's one of those movies where do I really
tell
need
the
to
audience
talk
how
about
epic it is? Because I think this is a pretty awesome movie. I was not ready for how awesome it was.
And cheesy. And then you got Bruce Willis in this movie, which I didn't really care for his character. I loved
Bruce Willis's character in this movie, though.
His character, like at first, like when in the beginning of the movie, you're just kind of like, okay, you're a douchebag for like leaving your wife, going to the hotter chick, and then fast forward like 20 years later, and then all of a sudden he wants to go back to his wife who's now suddenly hot. And I'm just like, no, the two women need to stick together and just boot him to the side, which kind of started happening in the film anyway.
I love Fat Narcissist. Favorite part is Elvis appearance. We also get damn it. We get a couple of celebrities in there, don't we? We get Elvis.
There's quite a few.
And dude from The Doors, Jim Morrison, yeah. Mm-hmm. He might be my favorite because it's Bruce Willis falling from like 2-3 stories through broken glass into a pool.
Looking like a rag doll.
Yeah, and Jim Morrison's just like, whoa, that look cool.
Dude.
This movie's pretty epic, guys. You get David Koepp, who wrote Dark Angel, which if you have not heard of Dark Angel, it is Dolph Lundgren fighting drug aliens from space. If that doesn't get you enough right there, I don't know what the hell will. He also wrote The Shadow, Spider-Man, and Jurassic Park. Plus, you get Dean Cundey, the legendary cinematographer behind all of John Carpenter's films. He said one of the things he loved doing was using the lights and mirrors to reflect the gaudiness of the movie, which is kind of like a telling of the life in Hollywood Hills and Beverly Hills and stuff like that. And it's really, Meryl Streep's character is so into herself.
She's narcissistic.
She's got the mask on all the time, trying to show, oh my God, I'm the most beautiful in the world. And it's so funny.
She has her maid come in and always tell her how beautiful she is, and then she kind of just blows her off because she knows that she doesn't look as good as she used to.
Then, in turn, the maid has to go to Bruce Willis, who is drunk from the night before, and give him a morning drink.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, dear
God, they don't
God,
even sleep
you
in the same room
angel.
anymore.
No, it is so depressing. And, of course, Goldie Hawn comes in looking all hot as hell, super skinny, and better than both of them.
Hair's all flawless.
Yeah, and she just kind of blows him away. And it gets so crazy because you find out Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn both kind of took the same potion from the crazy, like, miracle worker lady.
The gorgeous, weirdly looking lady.
Super weird. And they
kind of looking like Liz Taylor in a way.
They kind of do look like Liz Taylor, but they go at it like just twisting each other's heads, blowing each other up, and it drives Bruce Willis
shooting
insane.
Each other in the torso.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the best things about Bruce Willis's performance in this, because as you all know, probably and hopefully, Bruce Willis is a notorious ass.
Yeah, see, Warcatch just said, I thought this was the best acting job of Bruce Willis. He had to play a wimp and not a badass.
Exactly, and that's actually what Bruce Willis loved about it, because Robert Zemeckis kept saying, "Oh, Bruce, you kind of have to play something different than what you're usually doing," and he said it was a fun working environment, which for Bruce Willis to say anything he does is fun, that's kind of gold right there, because Bruce Willis hates everything, so.
He's more negative than I am.
Yeah, he really is. Bruce Willis in this movie, probably one of my favorite parts, just because like his story arc in it. I'll let you at home decide that. But we also get the opening dance number that Meryl Streep does. Perfect intro to this world in this movie, because the number is from a play by Tennessee Williams called Sweet Bird of Youth, which is about an aging actress wishing for her youth. So it's a really cool like kind of lead in foreshadowing of what's to come.
And to show how narcissistic she is and
Oh
to
my
herself and how she's just like the only thing in the world. So cocky, but you love to hate her. That's the character. You love to hate her. But I love it when he kicked her down the stairs. That's probably one of my favorite.
Oh yeah,
scenes.
she's tumbling.
She's tumbling, and he's just sitting there, and he just looks, and he's
backward.
like, ah! And he's on the phone with Golden Pond, and she's just like, "Did you call me first and not the police?" And he's just like, "Yes, you idiots." And then she gets up and her head's all twisted. And then she's walking.
And all that.
Something's wrong.
So that I thought was some of the best CGI. That was in that time period.
It was pretty decent CGI for its time period.
It was in that time period where it's like Jurassic Park just came out and everything just starting with CGI and stuff. But it still held up to me. Now I'm watching it on a Scream Factory Blu-ray. It's the cleanest you're going to see this kind of movie.
Especially when she has the hole in the torso and she sits down and the shovel's through.
Oh yeah, it goes right through. It's just ILM at its finest.
Or
honestly.
when she puts her face through the hole and it shows her
face,
face, I can see right through you.
It's so awesome. And the best part is you see them deteriorate through the movie. That's why they need Bruce Willis, because he's a doctor.
He became a mortician.
Becoming a mortician who puts dead bodies back together, making them look nice.
Using spray paint.
Oh God, yeah, it pissed people off in that movie. But it's so cool. This film totally has a Tales from the Crypt vibe, which of course Robert Zemeckis is the guy who brought Tales from the Crypt from comics to the TV screen. This, I believe, was originally supposed to be the third Tales from the Crypt film, which I would totally be down with, other than that crappy Ritual movie that they kind of half-assedly put the Tales from the Crypt logo on. That was depressing.
Of course it is. It's always depressing when they do that stuff.
So, for this video release, I give it 5 out of 5.
I agree. 5 fingers out of 5.
We both agree on something. That doesn't happen that often on this show. The last time we got that was Deathgasm, so definitely go check this out. It's on sale right now.
Calm down a little bit. We don't always are going to agree on everything.
I might cry.
He'll have his moment for now.
Jesus.
See what I deal with?
This is what she does
Hashtag kill Freddy.
Aren't you glad you got us back, guys? We also recently caught the thriller The Green Room. Yes, that little movie that everyone has been gooing over. Stephen King loves it. Quentin Tarantino thinks it's his best movie of the year. Let's see what we think. It's about 4 bandmates, Sam, Tiger, Reese, and Pat, who are in the punk band The 8 Rights as they travel across America, playing gigs and doing interviews. One stop, they are interviewed by punk rocker Tad, who has promised them a gig in Seaside, Oregon. However, the gig falls through and the band makes almost no money, which they desperately need because they are in a modern-day band, and they get no money.
And they live in a van
that they have to siphon gas from other cars from. It is the life of a rocker nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, Tad promises a better gig, and lo and behold, they end up at a neo-Nazi bar in the woods, where, of course, the band, feels really uncomfortable. As watching this movie, I felt really uncomfortable.
I felt bad for them.
But they need the money, so you gotta play for the Nazis to get the money. So we have Pat goes back to the green room after the gig's over because Sam left her phone, and lo and behold, he's witnessing a neo-Nazi murder. It is pretty intense. They get held hostage, and at some point, the 8 Rights get a hold of the room with a dead body in it, and all the neo-Nazis are outside. All hell breaks loose, and they gotta fight them. Everyone is boned. Ash, what'd you think?
It's a very interesting movie. I was kind of hoping a little bit more on the hostile side when it comes to the gore and everything, but I was rather happy with some of the gore effects that were in the film.
Well, I don't think...
I was expecting something kind of hard like that, because this kind of Not in the same genre sense, but in a way, it kind of reminded me of Panic Room
Really?
with Jodie Foster and Chris Stewart. You know, the whole being trapped in a room, having guys on the outside trying to find their way in. Kind of similar situation. Like that's what it kind of, not in the sense that it's the same, but that little scenario, but with horror and more suspense than horror, I would say.
It definitely. I think the thing for me, I would hope most people hate Nazis. But
I would hope.
I really, really hate Nazis. I'm the guy who stopped playing Call of Duty because I couldn't shoot Nazis anymore in that game. So as you're watching this and some of the things that these neo-Nazis say and do, you're just thinking, dear God, what the hell is wrong with America? There are so people
Imagine
out there
being
like
the
this.
actors that have to get into that mindset and do that. And one of them is Patrick Stewart.
Yes. Oh my God. Patrick Stewart in this movie is so creepy and uncomfortable.
He's very uncomfortable.
Professor X and Jean-Luc Picard. Dear God, dude. Some of the he says some of the worst things in this movie. Like, of course, you know, it's just something neo-Nazis would say. Let's just say he says the N-word one time and it is really super duper uncomfortable, even for the other neo-Nazi he's talking to because of the delivery.
He makes the other ones uncomfortable when they're around him. They're just kind of like staying at attention, do not disobey or argue against this guy.
Yes, that is true. Real to cause, he is a Nazi. It is terrifying. So, okay, for me, I don't know if I got Panic Room. Every movie kind of like this, I think of Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh, yeah, that's another one.
For me, the original Assault on Precinct 13 sets up the tone for all the movies to follow that with, like, oh, we're stuck in a room and there's, like, tons and tons of people coming at us. So I always kind of gauge by that. With this one, it is a lot worse feeling, I think, because they're all pretty helpless. And you think with a bunch of hardcore punk rockers, at least one or two of them are going to be really
Especially
intense.
the guy with the anger management problems.
Oh, yeah. And so most of them are kind of babies, except for the one guy who has a lot of sweet-ass moves, takes down the neo-Nazis, and pretty much sets up the whole stage for them to be able to escape in any way possible. But you also get Imogen Poots, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right.
That's how I pronounce it.
And Anton Yelchin, who both appeared in the Fright Night remake. I love Anton Yelchin. He's done a ton of like different genre movies. You get him as Chekhov in Star Trek. You get him in Barry and the Axe. You got him in Odd Thomas. So he's definitely cut out a little place in the world for himself.
He's been kind of moving along. As she was in 28 Weeks Later.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that one. Yeah, he also and Jeremy Soliner. He directed this movie. This is only his like third or fourth film. He calls it part of his inept protagonist trilogy, which includes Murder Party and Blue Ruin. Those are his three movies, and each protagonist, they can't protect themselves very well to do anything. Murder Party is, I believe, I've heard of it a long time ago. I never thought anything about it. It was just this goofy looking poster I saw where this dude decked out in like terrible looking, I guess like saran wrap armor, and he just took whatever he could to fight these guys trying to kill him.
Use anything you can.
Yeah, I think it's like him being robbed or something like that. And that movie, they literally made for no money. I looked it up. He just found a bunch of crap and made a movie. So Jeremy Soliner, man, he's a guy to look at for upcoming horror films. And this one definitely showed it off, all of his chops. Because he's good at building that suspense. He's good at writing the dialogue.
You feel the anxiety of it all, especially when they're in the room with the chick. She has a knife in her head.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the characters is like, wait, is she really dead? And the guy who kills her grabs the knife and pulls it out, and all the blood comes out, and he's like, yeah, she's dead. And you're just sitting there like, oh, they're so screwed. Because that dude, like, these dudes are no joke.
Yeah, they don't mess around with anything in this movie.
These dudes are no joke.
The lighting in it, too, like...
The lighting makes it uncomfortable.
It's just such a perfectly toned movie from start to finish with the set designs, the lighting, the acting. It's whether you like it or not, and I think I'm like 50-50 with it. Because the more I think about it, the more I like it. But when I first saw it, I was just really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think.
I wasn't sure to think of it. I have to give Soliner this. It is a complete film. It is good from top to bottom with everything he wants to do. And there's a lot in it. There's stuff he puts in the beginning and little sprinkles throughout that kind of goes through.
You kind of go through the emotions of it in a way too.
Exactly. And it's really funny at times too. And it's all to break the tension. But it's really dark, dry humor, and it's nervous laughter kind of stuff.
Especially with Patrick Stewart.
Oh God, with
Patrick
Patrick Stewart.
I couldn't get over seeing him like that. I've never seen him like that.
No, you never will. And that's an interesting thing. You read about what Patrick Stewart said in the interview, right?
Yeah, in the interview, once he received the script when he was at home, he said that it terrified him so bad that he locked himself up in the house and he turned on his security system and then he poured himself a drink, and that's how he knew he wanted to play this character.
Shaking there, like, I think I want to.
Like,
do
can
this
you imagine
movie.
him shaking, drinking with the script in his hand?
I can't think of Patrick Stewart being scared of anything. Honestly, he's
For
Professor
real.
X and Jean-Luc Picard. And that's the funny thing. I saw it with a Star Trek fan. I don't think he was ready for that movie.
He was not mentally prepared.
Yeah,
for
it
this.
was too much for him.
Especially with the dog scenes, which I think Warcats also mentioned the dog scene was a little intense with the dogs.
Oh yeah, no, it was some harsh stuff.
Yeah,
It's
and like the effects in the movie were very well done.
all practical, no CGI blood in this crap.
It was fantastic. Yeah, you can tell it was no CGI. You can tell the difference big time.
It's a real gritty movie, guys. I don't know if it lives up to the hype, in my opinion, personally.
We actually agree again on
If
something.
you go in with it just like, okay, this is going to be an interesting film, go check it out.
It's in limited theaters,
it is
so you
in
gotta
limited
look
release.
for it. Vista Ridge in Louisville actually has it, and I know one of the Alamo Draft House also has it.
Yeah, I think if you have an Alamo Draft House anywhere near you in like most parts of Texas, they're playing it. If not, I believe it's coming out on DVD in August. It should be hitting VOD soon, so definitely check it out, guys. I give it 3.5 out of 5 so far. Maybe I'll give it a 4. You know what? Feeling generous.
I was gonna say, if you were giving 3.5, I'd give it a 4, just so that we didn't have to agree.
Damn, we're
100%.
agreeing again. What the
Why
hell?
are we agreeing?
So-
This is what happens when you have
we're
us on a
so in
hiatus.
tune
We started
now.
agreeing. I want him to cry again.
Well, we're about to cry because we got some sad news.
So unfortunately, we lost another member of the horror community. His name isn't well known, and some people may argue that his part in horror, but he definitely gave us one of the most iconic horror comedies in years. His name was Rod Daniel, and he directed the original classic Teen Wolf. He passed away last month from Parkinson's disease, and we thought we'd take a look at his iconic film in remembrance.
All right, guys. Teen Wolf, one of my favorite 80s comedies of all time. We have Scott Howard. He's a tiny, dorky, loserish teenager on the worst basketball team ever, the Weavers. He notices that he's starting to go through some strange changes, rashes, hair in weird places, stuff we all go through at that really awkward, why am I alive age.
It's the stage that Freddy's still going through.
Every day, constantly, for my entire life. However, he learns that he's going through some very monstrous changes, and for some reason, he is amazingly good at sports, as he has been cursed with the mark of the werewolf. Passed down to him by his father, Scott now has his amazing athletic abilities to play basketball and not do anything else. I'm not being catty here, I just love this movie and how cheesy it is. So, in this film, can Scott escape the wolf and be a good person, or is he going to be a wolf-like jackass? That's my little 2 cents on this movie. That's what I got from it.
That's all you got from it?
That's all I got from it. No, I'm just joking. I love Teen Wolf. I will not watch the TV series.
I
on
have
MTV.
not watched the TV series, and I will not bother with the TV series.
I'm not at all. It's
and I have
funny.
friends that are like really into it, and I'm just like,
Well,
nah.
it's funny. I know a couple of people in the horror community, like our friends over at Killer POV, now on Shockwaves, that work for Blumhouse. The couple of them really like the Teen Wolf series from what I remember, and they said it's just cool because it's like new monster each week. But I just can't get past the fact that this movie is just such a movie of its time. It's cheesy 80s fun. I was a teenage werewolf in the 80s. That's basically what it is. And I Was a Teenage Werewolf is a scary movie. But this one is just, it's Michael J. Fox, guys. How can you go wrong with that?
And he's like dorky, cute, little geeky guy.
Styles,
So
man. Like, how am I going to
tiny.
be able to do this, man? Like, they expect the wolf boof. What am I going to do? I don't know why I went De Niro on that. My bad.
That's what I was just trying to figure out just now.
But this movie was filmed right after Back to the Future Part 1. and almost didn't get made until that office money came in, and then they gave it a huge release. The interesting thing I think about this movie the most is the writers behind it. It's Jeff Loeb, who wrote tons of DC comics, cartoons. I think he's had his hand in a couple of the movies, and he also wrote Commando, and it's also written by Matt Wiseman, who was his co-writer on Commando and a couple other kind of weird 80s movies like that. In my opinion, this is the best werewolf reveal ever, other than, of course, American Werewolf in London. Now, before you hit me with torches and pitchforks and everything, let me put it in this aspect.
My job.
Scott turns into a werewolf, and you think, oh my God, his dad's going to freak out. What's going to happen? Opens the door, and his dad's a werewolf just looking at him with fatherly eyes. I think we need to have a talk, son. I bust out laughing the first time I saw that. I thought that was
because you weren't expecting that.
Not at all. I thought that was the funniest damn thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. He's just standing there like, we're all werewolves, son.
So casual about it, and he's like freaking out like, dude, like, why didn't you tell me? Oh, well, didn't know if it would hit your generation. It sometimes skips. And he's just looking at him like,
my generation,
why
Dad,
are
it
you
hit
so
me like
calm?
a train.
Yeah. Do you not see me right now? Freaking out. His meltdown was funny because I think I would probably reacted the same way. Especially opening a door and you see your dad just standing there looking like Bigfoot for a second. Not expecting that.
Killer Snake 2, I would have been a Teen Wolf. I'm already half a Teen Wolf right now. I'm hairy as hell. I'm already a critter according to her, so.
I call him Critter.
Seawar Cat says all werewolves are great at basketball. That's their weakness.
It's not silver. It's basketball.
Oh, dear God. He also says, yeah, I will say, Seawar Cats, I agree with you. MTV's Teen Wolf has too much high school drama.
It's on MTV.
I don't know what you'd expect from that, honestly. The other thing I do love about this movie, as a fat man, and if there are any fat people watching in the chat, I think you feel my pain. There aren't that many awesome fat people in movies, but we had Chubby, one of the greatest fat people ever. He was also Pee-wee Herman's nemesis in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Mark Holton, who played Chubby, interestingly enough, went on to play William H. Gacy in the Gacy movie.
And he's so creepy in that movie.
It's so weird because I watched them back to back.
And he was also in Leprechaun.
Oh, he was in Leprechaun. I forgot about that one. But I watched him back to back. Watching Teen Wolf, I'm like, oh, Chubby, you silly bastard. You just got your little food in there. Oh,
He's so
funny.
sweet.
And then you watch Gacy, and he's like, ah.
That's a big character switch right there. Going from cute little chubby friend playing basketball to serial killer. Hiding dudes in your underneath your house.
I gotta ask Ash. This is definitely up my alley. I'm a little surprised you're for it. What is your history with Teen Wolf? How'd you discover it?
My parents, my dad, my mom. It depends on their mood. Sometimes my dad watches the really campy horror movies. My mom watches them. Both of my parents watched Teen Wolf, and that's how I came across it. And I could relate to him because he was kind of geeky and
I'm
weird.
awkward,
Of course,
man,
by the time I was old enough to watch it, because of course, when this movie came out, it was like what? 1 barely born. So of course, as I got older and I watched it, I kind of related to him because I was a basketball player who was just kind of awkward and weird, but I was kind of sad that I didn't turn into a werewolf.
Were you expecting that at one point?
Maybe. That's what happens when you watch horror movies at a young age. You expect to turn into some of the monsters and it just doesn't happen.
I think my favorite reference I've seen in modern pop culture was, I don't know if there's anybody out there who watches How I Met Your Mother, but there's one point where Marshall, he is teaching a little league basketball team, and he's telling a story of how insane the other team was. And he's like, at one point, I think there was a Teen Wolf on there, and they literally have like a 10-year-old kid dressed up like a Teen Wolf bouncing the ball and everything.
So adorable.
It's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like Teen Wolf, though? I haven't actually came across anybody who actually doesn't like it.
Well,
I mean, I know there's like those hardcore horror fans, which...
I don't know about that, but when I put it out on Instagram and Facebook today that we were talking about Teen Wolf, all I got were people liking it because of the TV show. And it kind of made me sad.
That makes me sad.
It was a little...
That kind of makes me depressed.
A little depressing. But we all have Teen Wolf in our hearts, and we have Rod Daniel in our hearts. So, moment of silence for director Rod Daniel. He will be missed. Please take some time, check out Teen Wolf again. Remember the love for it. Ash, back to you.
So a while back, we talked about the trailer for the new anthology movie Holidays, where several upcoming and horror directors were assigned to different holidays to make a short story. Well, we finally seen it as it hit video on demand and iTunes, so we're going to give you the lowdown on each segment, two of which are most messed up things I've seen in some time.
Dude, this movie is so intense. So first up, we have Valentine's Day by Kevin Kolch and Dennis Widmeyer. They're the guys behind the new movie Starry Eyes, which is a really great twisted Hollywood tale. And they've also been approached to do the sequel to Guillermo del Toro's Mama. So that should be some interesting stuff. Apparently, they also kind of came up with the concept for Holidays and wrote most of the segments. When each director came on board, they kind of brought their own stuff to it, but Kevin Kolch and Widmeyer both had a lot of input on each segment. But the segment that they completely 100% directed and wrote themselves was Valentine's Day. And in Valentine's Day, we have Maxine, who is a young suicidal girl who is horribly bullied Carrie style in this flick. Her only salvation is the caring, loving nature of Coach Rockwell. And of course, that turns very deadly.
I like that you mentioned Carrie, considering one of the bullies wears the red hat, similar to one of the bullies in Carrie.
If you're ever going to do a movie about a girl being hardcore bullied, you got to have one of the little jackass girls wearing a red hat. That's just how you do it. So, of course, these segments are about like 10, 15 minutes apiece.
Yeah,
because you get each holiday. So it's not too long, but they're nice, sweet little segments. You know?
Similar to ABCs of Death.
I would say you get more time.
Yeah, but you get more time with these because there's less segments. But similar with the short story movement, having something connected to whatever they're talking about.
The other thing I had a problem with ABCs of Death was that you had so many different places each one was coming from. A lot of them didn't have budgets. So you'd have ones with extremely high budgets and then ones that's just like kind of fall flat. All these have really legit budgets, and there's some cool practical effects with each one. With Valentine's Day, it's a good start to get you into what you're gonna watch.
Because you feel bad for her.
You really do, and
they're so mean to her.
It's a really simple one. It's shot very well. It's not my favorite.
It's not the worst one though.
I like these guys. It's a really simple one.
It doesn't require a lot of thought or...
It just kind of happens. It's a cool start with it, but the next segment was the one that I personally liked a lot, which I know you hated more than anything. Surprisingly, though, it's from Ash's favorite director of all time, Gary Shore. What has Gary Shore done? Dracula Untold, Miss Von Horror's favorite horror film ever.
People are going to start thinking you're sarcastic with that.
I don't know.
Are they?
But this guy, Gary Shore, brings us St. Paddy's Day. This is probably, I would never expected this. Okay, so St. Paddy's Day follows a woman who desperately wants a kid. Goes out St. Paddy's Day night, gets super drunk.
Doesn't remember
and
anything.
Impregnated. And what's inside of her is not human. It is possibly animal and possibly reptilian, guys. You heard that right. This lady births something that's reptilian.
Monstrous.
It is pretty freaky.
And I hated it
so
much.
I love the concept.
The concept was good. It had me going with it until the end of the segment.
Why?
Because it was just too cheesy for me.
But it was so cheesily awesome. Okay, so it goes with the idea of the original idea of St. Paddy's Day, where St. Patrick cast the snakes out of Ireland. So this cult wants to repopulate Ireland with snakes.
Why you would want to do that's beyond me.
Because they're insane cultists.
I just relate snakes to like evil and Satan, so that's the only thing I can think of as to why they would bring like the whole serpent thing back into it.
That's
putting too much thought into this.
No, you're not putting enough thought into it. I really like this segment. This is possibly one of my favorite segments in the film. Obviously, Ash's probably least favorite, only because of the ending of it. So I'll let you guys decide on that one.
It was good up until that part.
The filmmaking, you got to say, was pretty awesome on this one, because the way he tells the story, it's the main character descending into madness, and you get this descension into madness through her sister talking to her on the phone, because it's a one-sided conversation. Her sister's telling this whole plot basically through little nuances, talking to her sister. And
that creepy little girl.
Oh God, that was so awesome though.
I don't know how to pronounce the screen name, so bear with me.
Cats?
No.
Real to cause.
He put they were
slithering. That's what's up right there,
I'm
man.
just sitting here, I'm like, did that just that was said. That was said. That was said.
It happened.
Yeah. So next we have Nicholas McCarthy, who busted into the scene with his ghost story, The Pack, covering Easter. The Easter segment is about a little girl unable to discern whether Easter is about the Easter Bunny or Jesus, and it scares the hell out of her. It's also one of the creepiest, most sacrilegious, messed up images on film. And of course, y'all had me pick Easter.
Best line in this whole segment is the little girl is asking what the hell Easter's about, and she goes, "The story of Jesus is like a scary version of E.T." I kid you not. Okay. I'm watching this movie. This segment comes up, and I'm like, this is kind of funny. Oh, this is getting really messed up.
This is getting, oh, they did not just do that.
It is one of the most messed up images I have ever seen put to celluloid, especially if you are religious.
If you are easily offended when it comes to religion, do not watch this segment.
Do not show mommy.
Don't watch this with mommy.
Oh my God, it is the creepiest.
Wait, I kind of want them to watch it with mommy.
It is the creepiest damn thing ever. And it's practical effects, so it's even worse. Slimy looking.
It's seriously sacrilegious. There's no other way to put it.
It is the creepiest damn thing. Honestly, I'm straight up saying it. This was the most messed up thing I have seen in about at least a year or two. Great. Now she will disagree with me because she watches messed up stuff, just eating popcorn like it's nothing. But being raised in a Catholic family where they beat the hell out of you for saying "damn," dude, this is some serious messed up.
You should watch this segment with your family.
Good God, no! I'd be
and video it as you're doing it.
That'd
so
be a
we can have the
reaction
video on YouTube.
I'm telling you guys, this segment. Probably the most messed up thing you'll see. You probably
most offensive.
Definitely get a reaction video going for this. Actually, I give this to you. If you guys rent holidays or watch holidays, I want to make sure you each record your reactions to the Easter segment.
You can also rent this on YouTube too.
You can. That's where we got it. So there's that movie. That happened. It's messed up. It's awesome. But now we go to Mother's Day from Sarah Adina Smith. Now, she's not really known too much as a horror director. She did a movie called Midnight Swim, which is more of a mystery, drama, suspense. But it kind of goes in line.
That still kind of fits into the genre.
Well, it goes in line with the ghost story as well, so it works. But in Mother's Day, we have a young woman who, no matter what she does, every time she has sex, even if she puts on 2 to 3 condoms or whatever have you.
Birth control.
Pregnant. She thinks something is horribly wrong with her, so she goes to a spiritual camp out in the desert. There's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is when you get there, you realize the spiritual camp in the desert is full of women who desperately want kids, and you're the one that is pissed off that she can't stop having kids.
Especially when she tells the one woman.
Yeah. She says, "I'm cursed by having kids. I can't stop getting pregnant."
Don't say that into fertile women.
Oh, it is. It's already, you kind of... It's
just like that.
It's such a strange thing because this movie can be taken 2 different ways. Mm-hmm. You can take it as like some women would see it as the worst nightmare because they don't want I know a lot of my friends, they don't want kids at all. They don't want to have anything to do with them. This one right here, this is the most horrifying thing, to be in a position of a woman that no matter what you do, you keep getting pregnant.
That's seriously that's a nightmare.
So
that's a living hell.
There's that half right there. The second half is the people who can never have kids, and the horror of seeing this person who is flaunting it on them almost and wanting to stop.
Wants nothing to do with it. She has the privilege of being able to do it while they don't.
Exactly. So this movie, or this segment, I should say, it's really messed up. It's really interesting.
It's kind of depressing.
It's really depressing. Oh. It's shot super depressing. You can tell this chick did a drama movie before this. Mm-hmm. The end sucks. I'm just going to flat out say it. I hated the end to this segment because
it should have moved the end towards
something happens that's a jump scare and then it's done. So
That made me more depressed than the watching the segment.
yeah, honestly, and I think this would be good as a full feature film, which I know they did for the Siren segment from the VHS movies, the one where it's the girl that's like, "I like you." That's getting a full length
She was
feature.
cute.
So if we can get that a full length feature, Mother's Day, why not? Well, I mean, granted, we already got the Lloyd Kaufman Mother's Days, but as Rose McGowan told me at Frightmare, Mother's Day sucks apparently. So we'll move on and do a different one now.
So next we have Anthony Scott Burns, who did Father's Day. Father's Day follows a woman who receives a mysterious package on Father's Day that has a recording of her father, who she hadn't seen since she was a child. The recording leads her to an old abandoned building where she just might find her missing father. And this one was just kind of...
It was really cool storytelling, though. You gotta give it that.
Yeah, I give it that, but it's just... Like, with me, like how it was with Mother's Day, the ending is what made me just go...
I feel like this one had a better ending than Mother's Day, though, because there's a little more to it.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit more, but see, and I would disagree because I would actually prefer Mother's Day ending.
You'd prefer Mother's Day, really?
Just because of that, just like, it's just, I can't say. You need to watch
Mother's
it.
Mother's Day to me ended too simplistically.
Yeah, it ended way too.
Because it was,
but I just.
you saw it coming almost. It's just like there's no
Yeah, you
difference
knew.
from that and
Well,
any
see,
other.
I knew with this one, like once it shows the final portion of this segment, I kind of figured that's what was going to happen, and then it happened.
I don't know. I still like Father's Day a little better. But you get Jocelyn Donahue. If we have any Ty West fans in the house, House of the Devil. She was awesome in that movie, and she also played young Lorraine from Insidious 2. Oh man, this part though. Tremors fans. Michael Gross, aka Burt Gummer himself, plays the father in Father's Day. You hear his voice throughout the whole thing. You see pictures of him. It's really different than what you're used to, like, I guess, hearing or seeing from Michael Gross. Because most of the time he's doing, like, comedic roles. This one, he is straight up creepy as hell. And that's the thing, too. For me, I think with this one, I was scared. I was dreading everything that could be coming.
So I wasn't scared. I kind of like. I guess anxiety would be the word here because at first...
The dread.
Yeah, it's that dread because no good can come from this, and how are you not sensing that no good's going to come from this type of thing? And then, like, you know, she's listening to him on the little headset with the little cassette player, and you're just sitting there, and she's just wondrously, like, you know, doing as he says with the cassette player, and you're just wondering what's going to happen.
I like Real Tico's response. I won't say it on the air, but that's a pretty great response.
Yeah,
right
I
there.
saw that.
So next, this one it's really a hard one for me because I love Kevin Smith, and I'm pretty sure Kevin Smith is what got Holidays made into a feature film. He does a Halloween segment, which really has nothing to do with Halloween whatsoever. It's about 3 cam girls that live in an apartment with their pimp and get fed up with the abuse and decide to take revenge on him. Their pimp is the dude from Epic Mealtime, who was also in Tusk, and one of the cam girls is Harley Quinn Smith, Kevin Smith's daughter. And in the background, they're watching a Halloween cartoon that's Steve Stark animation. And the Steve Stark animation is crappy Flash animation, but that was kind of the whole joke for the Kevin Smith stuff back in when he was doing Smotimations. It was fun, crappy animation. It's really out of place here, I feel like. And it's just really weird because then there's this kind of story of, okay, the cam girls want to be a coven on Halloween for no reason. And
After the chick had just asked her what they were doing as they were watching that little cartoon.
yeah, it's really weird. This is the most...
Out of all the segments, this is the one that's not connected to the holiday itself, besides them actually saying it's Halloween.
I felt like I was watching an Eli Roth movie because it's just a torture scene, basically. And
we love torture, or at least I do.
let me put it to you this way. Kevin Smith probably got really baked, made a joke on Smodcast or Hollywood Babylon and said,
Ate some of Epic
wouldn't that be
food.
a sweet horror segment? And then he made it, and the joke, when filmed, is horrifying.
You gotta admit, you gotta like that scene though. Oh, maybe. Well, you're a guy. Never mind. I take that back.
It's if you're a dude, it's one of the most uncomfortable things. If you're a female
woman and you're like me, you're like kind of
You know,
sadistic.
I'll give Kevin this. He's really on that female empowerment kick since Yoga Hosers, and I don't think there's anything more empowering than what they do to the dude from Epic Mealtime. So moving on from that.
And he totally deserves it.
Oh, he did.
So next we have Scott Stewart, who did Christmas.
That one's awesome.
A man so desperate to get a hold of the latest VR technology for Christmas for his son sinks to a whole new low in his life.
Seth Green is the biggest jackass of the holidays in this movie.
And his wife plays his wife,
who is also really messed up. I basically call this, the Christmas Vacation Griswolds went insane. That is what this is about.
I would agree with that.
So, and of course, Scott Stewart, he's the director of Priest, Legion, and Dark Skies. I hate Priest. Dark Skies was interesting. And Legion was a okay movie with, should have been rated R, possibly.
It would have worked better with rated R.
The guy does great concepts. Terrible execution at times.
See, I liked Priest. I didn't like.
I hated Priest. I thought that was the most god-awful movie ever made.
I understand why people hate it. Like, I'm one of those people. Like, I liked it, but I can understand why people hated it.
I don't think you understand why I hate that movie.
I don't even want to get
It's crap.
We're not going to get into discussion of the movies he watches that are crap.
That's fine.
Because that would take a whole other year.
I don't care. Priest is crap.
And I liked Legion, but I think it should have probably been rated R.
Legion is the best movie he's done, in my opinion. Story-wise. Dark Skies is an interesting story, but it's Blumhouse is hit or miss for me when they make a movie. Dark Skies is an interesting concept because it presents itself as a horror film that turns into a sci-fi film. So
I'm seeing that's more to me.
It's meh. But his Christmas segment is really promising. I'd like to see him do something in the vein of more traditional horror as opposed to Priest, which is a sci-fi horror, Dark Skies, which is sci-fi horror, and Legion, which is biblical horror. This was more just like sadistic, messed up people. So I guess I'd like to see Scott Stewart do a slasher movie.
With all that fancy technology that's going on nowadays.
See, Warcats, you like Priest? Come on now, sir.
Thank you.
Finally, boys and girls, we have the last segment of the evening in holidays from Adam Egypt Mortimer, the man behind Some Kind of Hate, which is a really messed up punk rock metal, I hate bullies kind of ghost movie. It's really intense. Can't say that I loved it, didn't hate it. Well, he gets the New Year's Eve segment, which is completely written by Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Weidmeyer, who, as I said before, did write a lot of the segments. This one entirely is theirs, which I can kind of see because it's got their kind of style in it. Follows a sadistic lonely man who stalks women on dating websites to find his perfect date. And if they turn out bad, his dates turn up muerto.
The story of Freddy's life.
Pretty much. Except I don't kill women. That's horrible. Why would I do that?
So he claims. He just hasn't been caught yet.
By her. What did you think of this one?
I actually like this one.
I liked it a lot too.
This is probably my favorite one out of all of them, out of all the segments in a way. Almost like I almost want to say this might have been my favorite.
There's a twist, obviously.
Yes.
You see it coming from a mile away.
Yes, you do.
But I can say you probably saw it coming a mile away because you only have 15 minutes to tell the story.
Yeah.
If this was a feature film, I think it could have.
It wouldn't have been as obvious.
Yeah. And you also get the date he goes on, the final one on New Year's, is Lorenzo Izzo, who's from, pretty much an Eli Roth.
Eli Roth's wife.
Yeah. She was in Knock Knock, Green Inferno, Hemlock Grove. She was in Aftershocks, A Stranger. She's no stranger to horror movies. And she was one of my favorite parts of Green Inferno. Mm-hmm. Haven't seen Knock Knock, so I
want to see Knock Knock.
Can't say anything about that. But she was really good in this movie, and this segment especially. It's a really, I won't say it's intense. I won't say it's scary. It's just fun.
Dark humor.
Dark humor. If you like, it feels like something that Robert Rodriguez or Eli Roth would do for, giggles.
It kind of had that Eli Roth feel to it, like something he would do just be like, haha, look what I just did.
Yeah, pretty much. But that is everything about the movie Holidays. It is on sale on YouTube right now, as well as iTunes, which is where I checked it out. I believe it'll be hitting DVD and Blu-ray coming this July. It is an awesome movie, definitely worth checking out. Support it because we like to support local
And if you watch
indie
it,
horror.
let us know what segment is your favorite and which is your least favorite.
Please do put it all over Facebook.
Because we want to know.
I'm serious. Hit us up on Instagram and Facebook and give us those reaction videos to the Easter segment, just so I know I'm not the only one that laid there going,
or sitting there like this.
Pretty much.
So that was our show for tonight. Another horror adventure that hopefully gave you something interesting to check out. If you have anything to add to any of these topics, feel free to continue this discussion outside of the show on any social media using the handle Nerd Ninja TV. We would also like to remind you to tune in tomorrow on the Nerd Ninja TV for the Nerd Ninja Girl Show, so tune in at 8:30 Central.
And just a reminder that voting is currently going on for our cosplay contest. So head over to nerdninja.com to cast your vote, and then tune into the Nerd Ninja Show on Tuesday with Moa at 8:30 for the finalist competition where you'll get to live vote to determine the winner. She has been Ash Von Horror. Happy to return is myself, your Fright Master Freddy Ruiz. It has been far too long, guys. I miss this. I miss my homegirl here, even though she wants to murder me every episode.
Hashtag Kill Freddy.
And we would like to thank you for watching the Nerd Ninja Horror Show. We will not let too long go by before we bring you more horrific goodies. Bye guys.